Hello everyone, I'm Rohit Rana from IBM. Today I will demonstrate how to implement digest authentication using IBM Integration Bus. In this code pattern, we will see the logic which is used to achieve this, and then a similar pattern can be used in any development tool which doesn't support digest authentication of its own. In this demo, we will cover the implementation logic in IIB 10, we'll test the service locally, and then we'll deploy the code on IBM Cloud. We'll also create an API on IBM App Connect, which is available on IBM Cloud to show the usefulness of this pattern. Before I started this demo, I have already completed some prerequisites. So as you can see on my screen, I have already pulled a Docker image, pushed that into my private registry, created a cluster, and exposed that cluster on HTTP ports. So if we go into the main flow, here is where the request comes, and here is the main logic resides. Before we go into the logic, I'll quickly show a sample website which is using digest authentication. So when you first hit the website, it will ask for a username password. But in our integration flow, you will not have any facility to enter that because there is no user interface attached to it. So when the first time request comes into the flow, it gets an error, and the error has the HTTP response header, which has the details to compute the HTTP authorization header. So in this compute node, all the logic is there. So you can go through it. Then this logic is set here, and then a request is sent again back to the server, which hopefully will get a success this time, and a logic to compute the cookies being built. So cookies is what we can reuse it for our next hit, so that we don't have to do all this logic every time. So I'll quickly show how the flow will work. So I'll just deploy the sample demo bar file I have created, and there is a utility called flow exerciser which will tell us which path the request sent. So now we'll hit the localhost, and we can see we get a success response. And here you can see what path it followed. So you can see that it followed the path and all the logic was built. But the next time when you send a request, same request, what was the path followed? So it skipped the logic because we have cached the cookie or the authorization header here. So it doesn't need to do every time the logic. It can just straight away use the cache and send the request and get a success. Now we will deploy the same code on IBM Cloud. So we'll deploy the bar file. So once it's deployed, we'll hit it. Yeah, so now we are going to test. So the deployment was successful and we can get a response back. Now we'll quickly go to the IBM App Connect, and we could have imported the bar file, imported the flow, but we will create an API. So as you might be aware that App Connect is just the upgraded version of IIB 10. So IIB 10 is called Integration Bus, but IIB 11 is called App Connect. So we'll give a model name, you can give it anything, and we'll give it a property called response. And then we will go to the operation and we will say, okay, we'll add a custom one. So we'll get a test and we will try get, and this will be get, and we will just implement this flow. Now we will try to make the calls. So we need to make an HTTP call because the authorization server is asking for an HTTP request. So we will call it. Here you will see that you get an option for the method and you get an option for URL, but you don't get an option to attach the username password. Now, here is where it is useful. Now, since you have already done the authorization logic, you can just reuse it. And this can act as a facade for your authorization. And since it's a JSON response, we will add a JSON parser here. And we want to give JSON input as a response body. And in the response, we will say, okay, whatever is in our JSON parser, we just want it here. And we're done. So you can see how simple it is to create a flow on IBM App Connect. So right now it's stopped, so we'll start the API. So once it's started, then we have to expose it to the outside cloud environment. So you have to go to manage. We don't want any more authorization. And we will create an API key. We will say test. And we're done. And now this is exposed. So now you can try it and see what was the response. So we can see the response is okay, and the response was authenticated true user, which is similar to this one. So that means now on IBM App Connect, you have an API which is actually connecting to the flow deployed here, and which is acting as a facade for the authorization. And now you can just reuse it for any authorization for any API. So this is it, and please do let me know for any feedback. Thank you for watching.